I don't know about you, but one of my favorite aspects of Witcher 3 is that CD Projekt Red doesn't shy away from mature content and themes that lend themselves to the game's setting, world, and lore. Those who've played any of the Witcher games may recall that there was plenty of nudity throughout the whole series, some related to Geralt of Rivia's intimate interactions with female companions, and some related to darker circumstances and implications. Few will say that they found the nudity gratuitous. It was all just sort of part of the world and an expression of some of the mature narrative elements that Witcher calls for. Now, people wondered for a while if we can expect the same level of maturity with CD Projekt Red's next project, Cyberpunk 2077. But with E3 2018 having come and gone, we know now from all the impressions of the private demo that yes, Cyberpunk 2077 will not shy away from showing what it needs to show to get a point across. There were points throughout the private demo I saw where CD Projekt Red emphasized that this is a mature game, and there were certainly moments in the demo that showed off some of the underlying rot, the darker and more morbid side of Night City. For example, at one point, the player found fully naked male and female bodies inside this bathtub filled with water and ice whose cyberware were being harvested by scavengers, with the woman in particular being someone V had to rescue as part of her mission. Personally speaking, I don't think the morbid nature of that scene would have fully come across if the bodies were wearing clothes and underwear. The ghastly implications would have been dampened a little bit. There were also lighter mature moments, like when female V woke up next to a butt-naked guy, with the implication being that she had a one-night stand, appropriately representing the kind of free-spirited setting that Night City is. Now, website Polygon actually sat down with game director Adam Badowski following the private demo to further inquire about the role that nudity will play in Cyberpunk 2077, if you'll believe it, and Adam actually went pretty in depth about the matter, emphasizing that it's not just nudity for the sake of nudity. The conversation opened with Polygon mentioning how, during the character creation portion of the demo, the male and female V's character models were both fully nude except for their genitals, which were covered up in pixelated digital noise. I myself mentioned this in my extensive impressions video detailing my viewing of the demo, and some took this to mean that CD Projekt Red won't be fully committing to the game's mature elements. Well, for those people, worry not, because as it turns out, according to Adam Badowski, the censor character models for character creation was only done for the purposes of the demo. He said, quote, "We cover these parts for one reason, because during the presentation, we don't want people to focus on and think about these things and laugh. It's normal. Nudity makes it more believable. That's why we want to have it. There's nothing special in it." Polygon also made it a point to state that in the final version of the game, the digital noise will likely be removed. So, for those who intend to spend a lot of time with character creation and really delve into all the nooks and crannies, there you go, yay? Joking aside, I do agree with Adam that nudity is normal, it's nothing special, and it does make things more believable. But beyond that, Adam expressed why nudity is particularly important for a game like Cyberpunk 2077. He talked about how the team intends to feature full nudity in the game, not for shock value, but because it supports the theme of transhumanism that is so key to the cyberpunk genre. This idea that humans can transcend their current mental and physical features and capabilities through the integration of technology, or through the infusion of man and machine. Adam specifically told Polygon, quote, "Nudity is important for us because of one reason. This is cyberpunk, so people augment their body. So the body is no longer sacrum, sacred. It's profanum, profane. Because people modify everything, they're losing their connection to the body, to the meat. And that's why we need to use the nudity in many situations." Then, referencing the scene I talked about with the naked male and female bodies in the ice bath, he said, quote, "You see that there are bodies in the tub, and you need to take care of this woman. But at the same time, she is augmented. She's not clean. Maybe she is augmented too much. Maybe the humanity level is pretty low in her. So it's an interesting topic. It's one of the key themes in Cyberpunk. The very first scenes in the original Ghost in the Shell anime show exactly the same aspect. Because where is sacrum and where is profanum in a world when you can simply modify yourself to such limits that it makes you a different kind of person. It's one of the most important themes in cyberpunk as a genre. Couldn't have said it better myself. Like Adam said, with the flesh no longer being something sacred in a cyberpunk setting, showing said flesh and its artificial modifications and distortions is a major aspect of expressing some of the genre's most important themes. He nailed it on the head when he referenced Ghost in the Shell, where the first scene shown is the artificial creation of cyborg protagonist Major Motoko Kusanagi, whose body is shown transitioning from something that clearly looks artificial to something that looks like naked human flesh. But even then, there's something about that flesh and body that evokes a sense of uncanny valley, something about it that's not quite human. That scene wasn't about nudity for the sake of nudity, it was to make a point, to express some vital thematic elements, like the crossover and juxtaposition between man and machine. If you also watch movies like Blade Runner 2049, you can see there are no reservations about showing full human flesh, to showcase the blurring of the line between natural and artificial. Maybe this will all sound a little pretentious for some of you, but as a fan of the cyberpunk genre, insight like this is, well, relieving to hear, as it goes to show that Adam Badowski and team know what they're doing with the genre and with Mike Pondsmith's cyberpunk universe. It truly does go to show that CD Projekt Red did a lot of research and spent a lot of time understanding the source material. This isn't just Grand Theft Auto with a cyberpunk coat of paint. This is looking like cyberpunk epically realized in its purest form with no filters, and I for one am freaking loving it. As fond as I am of games like Deus Ex Human Revolution and Mankind Divided, even with these, it felt like we were often getting surface level cyberpunk storytelling and themes. But with Cyberpunk 2077, based on everything I've seen and heard from CD Projekt Red, based on how purposely and knowledgeably they seem to be handling thematic elements, the studio could very well be on their way to delivering a genre-defining product, with all the style and substance, and all the boldness and nuance that comes with pulling something like this off. Whether they actually end up delivering, though, that is of course something we'll have to determine for ourselves when the game launches, whenever that may be. With that, I would like to end this news update. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoy my content and would like to support this channel directly, consider donating on Patreon. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Yong Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Yong out.